If we make people pre-sold on you, they will buy from you before you even sell to them.
That when they get people interested in them, people go to their website to check them out. But if I go to your website and then I don't see anything, I'm really deflated in that process.
How am I greeting cold audiences, right? Am I just trying to shout above the noise? Am I just trying to be heard with volume? The way that this brand video works with your other videos is that it does the persuasion, right? It pre-sells them on you. When they go and watch your other content, when they go and consume your other posts, they already know who you are, right? There's that established connection there. And so the way that we do that is by understanding what trust feels like. What does that mean? And I've been able to boil it down into a framework that I call the trust triggers. There's 4 of them. They're super easy. And this is how it goes. So trust trigger number 1.
Hi, and welcome to the 91-Day AI Transformation Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Mast, and I am so thrilled today to have, and I'm just going to mess it up, I just asked how to pronounce it.
Mariana.
Mariana,
Like
thank you. Nothing like ADHD, guys. It's a great way to start a podcast, right? I mean, literally 30 seconds ago, I'm like, okay, Mariana, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing this right. And then I forget how to do it. Mariana, correct? I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that
Mariana,
properly.
like Ariana.
Mariana. We've got Mariana Henninger with us today, and I am so excited. We met down in Cancun at the Commitment Summit Mastermind just a few weeks ago and had just an amazing conversation and just hit it off on so many perspectives. I said, Mariana, I really want to bring you onto the podcast. Have you share some of your knowledge with our audience? So Mariana, before I butcher things anymore, if you would, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and who you serve.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Jonathan, you're always fun to chat with. So I'm so looking forward to our time together today. I'm Mariana Henninger. I'm an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker turned entrepreneur. I'm obsessed with everything emotion-driven marketing, which means connecting with people as humans first. And most importantly, how can we accelerate trust at scale in the online space? And how can we use that to drive sales faster? So I work with entrepreneurs with mission-driven brands or human-centric brand. I mean, if you're a human and you identify with selling to other people as people more than leads or numbers on a spreadsheet, if you really truly care about them, then you're who I work with, and how to do that at scale in a sort of automated way. And I'm a founder of BrandMagnetic.com, which is the business where I do this.
You blew my mind with your presentation down in Cancun, and I was like on the edge of my seat, just loving everything you had to share. Give us an overview. I mean, you have so much experience in what you're doing, and I know so many of the people in our audience are terrified of anything video. Talk to my audience a little bit about why they need to respectfully get over it and start integrating video in order to grow their businesses, because it's so critical as a component in your content marketing.
Right. So, although I come from a documentary filmmaking background, and yes, video is so important in your business because it's the thing that best replaces doing one-on-one or being there in person. So that's it in a nutshell. And so many studies have shown how video is impactful, video is engaging, it takes you on a journey. This is why it's so much easier to watch a really compelling film than it is to sit down for 20 hours and read a really compelling book. And so there's so many things we could say about video. The thing that I help people with specifically is one type of video. We call it the brand trust video. And what that does is it helps people who don't want to be on video all the time, even though they should. And I agree with you that they should. But the idea is there a way that we can make cold audiences, so people who've just come into your universe, feel an instant connection to you, to what you do, to your mission, to your drive, to your purpose, to what you're going to help them with, essentially, without feeling sold to. So it's the entire premise of Robert Cialdini's book, Persuasion. It's this idea that if we prepare that sale, if we make people pre-sold on you, they will buy from you before you even sell to them. Before you're pitching them, they're already pre-sold on you and what you have to offer. And that's because you've hit what I call the 4 trust triggers, which we can talk about. But this idea that one video that's about 3 minutes, it lives top of funnel throughout your funnels. It's pinned on your social media profiles, it's on your email signature, it's on your homepage about me page, which is, we talked about this. This was actually something that a lot of people at the conference came to me afterwards and said, man, when you talked about the About Us page, I haven't touched my About Us page in years. Most people, right? They'll kind of write that reluctantly and just, oh, okay, I guess I'm just gonna put something down here because I need one of these on my website. They don't realize that is such important real estate when people are just meeting you for the first time.
Yes.
It's the second most visited page on absolutely most websites, if not all of them. People want to know who you are. And so I call it the instant trust window. When somebody sees a comment that you made on Facebook, maybe they're picking up on one of your 10 posts a day or however much you're posting, they are curious. They're intrigued by something that you wrote. They're hooked, right? So, and we should be hooking them with value, with something that's all about them and the transformation that we offer. Your content should, what I talk about is not how to create a ton of content really well. I think you do that much better than I do, Jonathan. But
Thank
it's
you.
this idea that that when people are intrigued by your content, the very next thing they do is they check you out. They want to understand, who is this person? Is it, and ultimately answer the question, are they worth my time? Are they worth paying attention to? And that's the vertical that I own with my business and with my team. What we help clients with is this idea that when your perfect clients are cold audiences at this time, they don't know you, they've just met you, when they are willingly checking you out in their own time, in their own space, in the privacy of anonymity, you want to connect with them and show them that you're the right person for them by understanding how to tell your story in a way that makes them trust you. And we can obviously go into that further, but that's the moment that you most need to connect with them so that every time you do show up, they're paying a lot more attention to you.
I love that, and there's just so many areas I can go with in that. One of the things you talk about that to me that was so intriguing is I think not enough business owners give credit to the fact that when they do other things online, whether that's social posting, blogging, being on a podcast like this, whatever, that when they get people interested in them, people go to their website to check them out. And
Right.
they need to make sure they've got some really good material on that website to follow up on that goodwill. They've made a great first impression. That's why people go to your website. All right, great. I got to see Mariana on this podcast. I want to learn more about her. But if I go to your website and then I don't see anything, I'm really deflated in that process. From a funnel perspective, can you talk about where do these videos fit inside? Are we talking top of funnel, middle of funnel, lower
Oh,
funnel? Where
yeah.
do they fit for the business owner?
For sure. They all live top of funnel. So it's one video. And speaking to the person who doesn't want to show up on video all the time, I get that. Your hair's not always looking great. Although, to your point, get over it. It's not about you. But this idea that you really are intentional about creating one specific video that's going to live top of funnel, meaning where are people going to when they are meeting you for the first time and in that space of checking you out? They're going to your social media profile, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you are.
Yes.
And then they're going Facebook, and then they're going, like you said, sometimes to your website and clicking on that About Me page. And so this is a video that will make them feel instantly connected to you. They'll make you feel like you get them, you care about them, that you've got them, you're an expert, and they can rest at ease. It would be safe to trust you. It would be safe to invest in you and whatever you have to offer. And then the fourth one is that you vibe. There's a values exchange. There's a personality connection there where, like, I would enjoy my journey of getting to learn with you, Jonathan. I think we have our values align, and I like
Yeah,
how you
absolutely.
do things, right? And so that's also a piece that comes through in that video. You're not selling them at the end of this video. It's not like any other marketing video that you'll ever create. There's no CTA at the end of it. It's just meant to encapsulate the feeling of like we've just had a personal, intimate conversation where I've gotten to know you as a person, and it lives in your universe, right? So I can go to your next video, I can go to your link, I can go to your click through on your website somewhere else. I'm going to find other CTAs around this video, but
Mm.
this video is just that really protected, human, beautiful, pure connection that we've just made that now makes me feel like I know you, so that when you show up on my inbox, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Jonathan. I love Jonathan. Like, I like him as a person, right? And I like what he's doing. I'm drawn to it. I'm paying more attention to it. And it really just accelerates that trust for you and what you do. Whether I'm your potential future customer or not, it's this idea that like now you're top of mind for me. You're the undeniable go-to, and I can't wait to tell my friends about you. I can't wait to mention you when I know somebody needs what you have to offer.
Hmm. How does this fit in? Because as you mentioned, you specialize in one specific type of video that it really is, and I'm going to steal an AI word that I used to use before AI called game changer, but it really is a game changer for businesses when they do this. How does this integrate in with a larger video strategy of, I was just on a webinar, they were talking it through one of my masterminds about, short form video feeding long form video and all that type of
Oh,
stuff.
interesting. Yeah.
How does this fit in, or does this really stand almost as an island apart from that other video strategy?
That's a great question. I don't think I've ever been asked that question, Jonathan. I love that you ask it because the way that we treat your brand trust video is not as a piece of content. It really is a
Mm,
system. It's a system because it's used in so many different ways, not only top of funnel, but it really is about mapping out your customer journey and figuring out all the different places that you can use this video, whether it's in its entirety, or for example, in your welcome sequence, we teach how you can create gifts from this video and intersperse them in that one welcome sequence email. We've had clients who have skyrocketed their response rates to that email. Cold audiences, right? Hearing your
hmm.
story, clicking through, watching your video, and then coming back to that email and responding with like, oh my gosh, your story was like, here's my story. And just creating that instant conversation with people that are coming into your world. And so honestly, it does live a little bit separately from all those videos in the sense that it doesn't it's evergreen. It works
Sure.
for you 24/7. It's not come and go. It's the thing that's pinned, right? It's the thing that every
Mm,
single person watches. And so in a way, it's kind of in a class by itself. It's in a category of one. You don't
makes
need
sense.
more than one. You should have one, but it does such heavy lifting for the rest of your videos. So if anything, what it's doing, it's in relation to the other videos, and I'm talking so fast. Why am I talking? I'm
You're
so excited.
you're good. It's all right. You're excited. Hey,
I think we got on this call. It's just like, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Keep, it's amazing.
I think this
You
is what
know,
happens when you're like so enthusiastic about what you do, right? It's just like can't help but
well, and that,
speak
that's
fast. But
Mariana, it's one of the things I really was impressed about you when we met is it's very clear. Not only is this something you provide to others, but you just in your core believe and know the value of this because you've
yeah.
seen it work for
Mm-hmm.
so many others. And to me, I
Yep.
think what impressed me is I think this is a step. I mean, I've even missed it to a large extent that so many of us miss in our brand strategy as we put things together. This this brand trust video is something that I most of us never thought about. At least I know I've really
Yeah.
never really thought about it in the context that you shared and all that, without giving away all the magic, because I know this is what you do and perform magic for others. Talk to us a little bit about that brand trust video from a recipe perspective. Not
Sure.
exact every step, but what goes into this if somebody's listening and going, okay, I want to figure out what is this, just better
Mm-hmm.
understand it. What's included in a brand trust video that makes it different?
Yeah, I love that. And thank you, Jonathan, for thank you for sharing how it made you feel. Absolutely. There's so much conviction there based on what I have seen this do for my clients. And there's a sense of excitement that comes from
Mm-hmm.
sharing this perspective shift. Like you said, this is a moment in the customer journey that is so magical and that absolutely nobody is talking about. And so this is where my like shouting from the rooftops kind of vibe comes from sometimes, where I'm like, I can't wait till people hear this episode and are, and I think today I have 3 different interviews. I love this idea that it really gets people thinking about like, wait, how am I greeting cold audiences, right? Am I just trying to shout above the noise? Am I just trying to be
Mm-hmm.
heard with volume, which has its own merit, right? It does work, but it's a long game. It's 6 to 12 months in on average of getting people to trust you little by little. It's like these tiny drops, like this idea that you can accelerate that you can like pour into their jar, that you can create such a strong connection that it's a bit forgiving, right? If you're not able to do the volume play on the back end of that because you've done the work up front. And just to answer your question super quick, the previous question, the way that this brand video works with your other videos is that it does the persuasion, right? It pre-sells
Mm.
them on you. So when they go and watch your other content, when they go and consume your other posts, they already know who you are, right? There's that established connection there.
Mm.
I've had clients say when people show up to my discovery calls, we skip those 5 emails back and forth where I'm having to, tell them who I am and what I do. When they show up to the call, they're already sold, and all they need to hear is like what my packages are. That was a testimonial from a client of mine. It really does the work of creating that bond and that connection. So to get to some sort of how does this work, let's peel back the curtains and let me teach you as quickly as I can
Yeah,
on
please.
what is actually going on behind the scenes. So the most important thing of your brand trust video is how it makes people feel. So
Mm.
what I'm about to tell you is probably not the first time you've heard about this. If you know any marketing that you're doing in your business, that even though it's quote unquote your story, it's not about you. At the end of the day,
Okay.
like the purpose of this video is how am I getting my audience from seeing me as a complete stranger in the beginning of watching this video to 3 minutes later, they trust me, right? It's quite a big promise. And so the way that we do that is by understanding what trust feels like. What does that mean? And I've been able to boil it down into a framework that I call the trust triggers. There's 4 of them. They're super easy. So yes, take notes, but you'll hear them. You're like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And this is how it goes. So trust trigger number 1 is that people have to feel like you get them on a very deep level, right? So it's not just I get you as like the demographic of my avatar. It's I understand what moves you, what keeps you up at night, what you're not sharing with anyone, what makes you cry, like why you're really doing what you're doing, the freedom that you want to have on the back end of building your business, the values that you have, wanting to spend time with your family. And that's why you want to solve XYZ problem, so it's really that deeper, I deeply understand who you are and what you do.
Mm.
The second trust trigger is I care about you. And I think, Jonathan, this is one that you exude so much in how you show up. Like I feel like you truly care about every single person in your audience, and you show up a lot, so we get to see that quite a bit throughout your content. Like we talked about before, not everyone has a content team or the bandwidth to be able
Mm-hmm.
to show up as many times. And so how can you communicate that the people who are coming to your business are not just leads? They're not just numbers on a spreadsheet with a little timer next to it, counting down how long it takes them to buy your thing, right? That's
Mm. I
not how
love
we
that.
should see our people. We should see our people as people, and we truly care about getting them results. And we are just as invested in their results as we are in our bank accounts, right? And in growing our own thing. And obviously we grow our own thing when we get more results for them. So it's a beautiful symbiotic system here. The other thing I say is like they're not just a number on the screenshot of your Stripe account. That's a big one that
Mm.
like when I see that I'm like, oh man, okay, I don't want to be another number on there. So the third trust trigger is that people need to feel that you've got them, that you're the expert at what you, this is where authority comes in, which we focus a lot on our content, right? You've
Mm-hmm.
got the expertise, you know what you're talking about, you have the experience, here are the case studies. All of that fits into this third part of the trust trigger, which is people need to feel safe, like they've made a great decision, like they bought your thing
Mm.
and they're not only excited, but they're like, oh my gosh, I feel great now. I found my person, first of all, which is what they should feel at the end of your video. Like, I found my undeniable person. That's that feeling of trust and comfort and, you know, just relaxation. And the fourth trust trigger that they should feel at the end of your video is that they should feel that you vibe. I actually like you as a person, right?
Mm.
I want to go on this journey with you and not with Joe or Rachel or Isaac or whoever who's selling something very similar to you and who uses great copy and blah, 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 but they're not my person. You're my person. That's what people should feel. So this is where like the personality and the values and your mission, your you know, what makes you you, all that comes through in that fourth trust trigger. And so keeping that in mind, those are the four trust triggers that we want to hit. Reverse engineering a little bit. So I'm going to give you sort of broad strokes how we do this.
Please, thank
And I
you.
do have a resource for, I'm going to give you two things. One is if I may be so bold, and you actually want to watch what I'm talking about, you're like, okay, this sounds so intriguing, but my tagline is you watch it and you feel it. So it really is awesome when you
That's
get
good.
to see one because you feel it. And then you're like, okay, I need no explanation, Mariana. I get it. So if you want to pause this podcast and come right back to us after 3 minutes, you can watch my story at brandmagnetic.com/MARIANA. That's all that there is on that page. So watch that and come back to us. So we look at stories in two different buckets, Jonathan. So there's everyone fits into one of the two. So you either have an overcome story or a passion story. Now, everyone should be passionate about what they do, so they're technically passion stories, both of them. But the sort of simple way to differentiate between the two is that if you have an overcome story, you basically help people overcome a challenge that you have overcome yourself, whether that is a technical challenge, whether that's a life challenge, whether that's
Mm.
a, you know, whatever that is. If you were in your past in the same sort of or current phase of your clients right now, and you need to help them overcome something, you have an overcome story, and I'm going to give you a very, very simple framework for that story. And then the second type of story, the passion story, you know, is where we relate to you because typically service providers will fall into that category. So think of like a graphic designer.
Mm.
You know, I'll just give you the example of a student of mine who helps people create their podcasts. And at the time, she didn't have her own podcast. So she was just like a genius at helping you build one from scratch and monetize it. And she was like, Mariana, like what story are we going to tell here? Like she had already hired me for her brand video, but she was struggling a little bit with coming up with the right stories. And I said, well, Julia, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies? Let's just start there. And one of her hobbies, she was like kind of a throwaway answer that she gave me. I was like, well, you know, I love jigsaw puzzles and I love that. And I was like, wait, what? Okay. What is a jigsaw puzzle? Aside from something very visual, which is awesome, which I love in
Mm-hmm.
video, I'm looking for those visual opportunities. It's something that's chaotic, right? It's pieces all over the place.
Totally,
It's
yes.
overwhelming. Right. And so we're relating to her audience in that way. She's obsessed with taking chaos and creating beautiful systems to make things look beautiful and run beautifully and fulfill their purpose. Right. And so that's just a tiny example of how you can illustrate your passion. You know, when we talk about visuals, it's not just you on a laptop. It's how can we bring visuals as an actual character in your story to help you really bring people along in that journey. 3 minutes might feel like a lot of time, but when you're going on this ride and you're watching this, basically this trailer of somebody's story in a way that really speaks to you, it flies by.
Oh, I can only imagine. And, you know, as you're describing it to me, it just becomes so crystal clear why we need a guide to walk us through this process. This is not the type of video that you just sit down in front of your webcam and say, okay, let me record this. This takes guidance in that because there's so many opportunities to make the right connection, but there's only one
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to make that first impression. And that's so incredibly important, as I can see as you lay this out and put this in place. So, man, I love it. I've got to ask, because of course this is the AI transformation podcast. Does AI play into any of this as you
Mm.
help figure out how to write the scripts that relate to the audience or anything like that? And no is perfectly fine, but I'm just curious, does AI fit into this process at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, Jonathan. So before AI, this was as you described, like a very hands-on process, and we still have that option, right? But when AI came into the picture, so I started using it to help me with our high-end done for you brand videos.
Hmm.
And so I essentially started creating different bots that would help me at every step of the process. And I was like, oh my goodness, what have I done here? This is incredible, because not only was it making our job easier for our high-end clients, but I realized like this is going to help everybody in our brand video system program. And what that means is I could only help a certain number of students at a time, and it was very hands-on, very it was manual labor. Honestly,
Oh, I
we were
bet.
writing every single word of the script. We were spending weeks. I kid you not. My program, which I created from scratch, I came from a career of 15 years of documentary filmmaking into the entrepreneurial world, knowing that I wanted to teach people how to do this, but I started at zero. I was like, what is my framework? Like I had to really think about how the heck am I going to teach this to people? And so the first couple iterations of my program were just kind of discovering how to teach this. And they were long. I had to keep giving people extensions at essentially they paid for a certain amount of time. And I was
Sure.
like, I want to serve you guys until we get to your finished product. And so I basically kept extending people for free until we finished their brand videos. And nowadays, it really lives up to its name, which is the accelerator, because these bots have helped us get to a first draft of the script like that. We need to obviously, I was preaching to the crowd, your people already know the prompts, the inputs need to be really good. But once you give that, we have like a robust workbook that you fill out. You can help AI, fill it out for you, but that's the thing that you load in. It helps, or it really like writes that first draft of the script for you. It helps you with ideas for visuals that I call emotional visuals. So it's not b-roll, it's really like
Mm.
emotional visuals that help you feel something. They're very non-cookie cutter, they're more metaphorical things that you're going to be filming. So in our program you do this on your phone, and obviously if we're doing it for you it's a camera crew. But so yeah, oh my gosh, it has completely changed my program. So my estimate is that it has shortened the length of time that people spend working on their brand video by 70%. It has completely
Wow.
revolutionized what we do. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. That's amazing. Hmm. I love hearing things like that, because it's so often people are, they're looking for that practical way to implement it. And I love how you as a business leader have not only said, hey, there's still value in the hands-on approach and we can make that work
Mm,
for you. But if in order to serve more people, in order to provide more value, you've been able to implement AI tools into that can still achieve an incredible result, but do so in 30% of the time. I absolutely love how you've leveraged
yeah.
that. And again, what a value you're bringing to your clients as well, because I'll at least admit, once I write that check and go, Mariana, I'm hoping that you're going to help me out with this, I'm assuming my job is done. I know that's not the case, you know what I mean? Then it's never the case, but it
Yeah.
reminds me of when we used to build websites when I had a digital marketing agency. You'd spend months selling somebody on a new website and they'd write you the check for it and they would assume, okay, so it's
You're
live
like,
tomorrow,
let me
right?
know
I'm like,
it's done.
yeah, I'm like, no, it doesn't quite work
Yeah.
that way. So I love how you've laid that out and brought that in place. I'm
Yeah.
curious, based upon how you've embraced AI as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, what advice would you have for those that may have been sitting on the sidelines during 2025? They've been wondering how to implement it, and does AI fit in my business?
Mm,
You could have looked at AI as a massive threat instead of an opportunity. And
yeah.
I'd love to have you share a little bit of maybe advice and mindset as to why you looked at AI as an opportunity as opposed to a threat in the process. Could you share that with us at all?
For sure. I think we need to look at AI for our programs as sort of inevitable, and what an amazing way to, like you said, the whole goal is to accelerate this process for our clients. I will say you touched on something that that is a whole other conversation in of itself for me, which is what are they missing out on by not doing that work,
Mm.
by hand? I have to
And
say that when I
feel
look
free to
at
address that. I'd love to hear that too.
yeah, so my sort of end assessment of that question is that the brand video doesn't work unless it's completed. That's its one
Mm.
flaw. So until you finish that video and actually put it throughout your systems and actually use it throughout your funnels, it doesn't work for you. And so to me, getting them to that first iteration of their video, which they can always so it's different than a book, right? It's almost, as the time investment can seem like a book sometimes, although now we've sped it up, but it is, you should look at it as like writing a book and having that forever asset for yourself, versus just creating a reel that's going to be here today, gone tomorrow. And so the idea that it only works when it's done, to me just meant so much more than having to go through that process by hand and maybe never reaching the
Mm.
finish line, right? And or being discouraged by the amount of time it takes. And now I can easily say that my students can get this done in 1 month, and it's not obviously not working full time. Everyone's running a business,
Sure.
but our systems have helped them. If you already know your audience really well, if you already have some of these assets in place, then it can be even less than a month. But this idea that you're really getting them to the end result faster, to me is worth a whole lot more than doing it by hand and possibly not completing it. So that's my answer to that.
I
But
love
in
it.
terms of like, yeah, in terms of like how to use AI in your business, if you're hesitating, or I think to me, I almost don't buy a program now, Jonathan, unless there's some sort of AI help attached to it.
I
Because
get it.
to
Yeah.
me, right? To me, it feels like the person selling this program, this thing, this training hasn't thought about ways to make my life easier, hasn't capitalized on the lowest hanging fruit possible, which is like at least a custom GPT, like it's
Sure.
not hard to create them, and
No.
you still own the knowledge files. It's not, you're not opening up your IP to the world. But the idea that you're not helping me at any step of the way with some sort of interactive tool that is at our fingertips for $0 almost. So
Mm.
for me, it's just looking at how can you serve your people better, and usually AI will be a part of that answer.
I'd love to hear from, again, you as a business leader. How did your team embrace or not embrace that as you brought that in place? And I know, that that's different for everybody, but as you've done that, and then also, how do you feel that your customers have embraced that, your clients that you've been working with?
I think across the board, it's been really well received. I think when we can make our clients happier, get them to the end result faster, make our jobs easier. Focus. I mean, it's so much easier to fine tune
Mm.
than to write from scratch, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
so easy, right? So the entire process, we already start with a first draft of everything. We start with the first draft of your script, with the first draft of your shot list. We use it to help plan our shoot day for our signature clients. Everything is, we're just tweaking. We're adding our finesse and our knowledge. This is where our experience and knowledge can like fine tune things to take it to that next level, as cliche as that expression is.
No, I get it though. Yeah.
Right? It's like where you're best used, right? Where the best of our human component comes in is where we're focusing all of our attention now, instead of that 10% at the end of like spending 90% of our time doing the heavy lifting. Oh my gosh. So instead of spending 90% of the time doing the heavy lifting and only 10% of our effort in that fine tuning excellence level, we're now able to spend like 80% of our effort on that final edge. It's amazing.
I love that. I love that. Well, Mariana, you have shared with us so much insight and wisdom, and you got my brain just scrambling. If people want to reach out to you and connect and learn more about how a brand trust video makes sense for them, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, so follow me on Instagram at BrandMagnetic. Go ahead and send me a DM, say hello, say where you found me. I love to connect with people one-on-one on there. Also, very easy to find on LinkedIn. And I have a resource if you are noodling about this and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't think I really paid attention to what's on my About Me page or how people meet me for the first time, and you want to take that first step in making that a much more powerful and impactful connection with people who meet you, with your cold audiences, future clients, then you can grab a cheat sheet that I have. It's the ultimate cheat sheet to a brand story that converts. And you can find that at brandmagnetic.com/cheat sheet.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I so appreciate that. I want to encourage you, if you've been touched and just motivated to go, okay, I need to do something different than what I've been doing, reach out to Mariana, talk to her. She is just such a wealth of knowledge about this. And admittedly, as I've told you, you've inspired me to open up my eyes to a whole nother level of something that we hadn't thought about doing before. So again, thank you so much for your time. I so appreciate your time and everything else that you put into this. If you've been joining us today, I really appreciate you joining us here on the podcast. We absolutely love it when you join us here, and we'd love it if you candidly go ahead and give us a 5-star review as well. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any issues. And with that, we're going to wish everybody a great day. We will see you on the other side, and go think about making one of those videos. You need a brand story video. Thanks very much. Bye, everybody.